welcome to this episode of the Mazza's Musings podcast. Eileen, Meghan, and I are now within 30 days, within 1 month of our next Disney trip. We're going to Walt Disney World, and we are very excited about it. And to kind of like get us in the spirit, Eileen and I, for this episode, are taking some questions out of the Magic Mickey ears that are specifically devoted to Walt Disney World. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to think a little bit deeply on some of these questions about Walt Disney World. Some of the questions are more off the wall than others, but either way, we're going to have some fun. And if you have any answers to these questions, feel free to let us know. At the end of the episode, I'll give you all the information on how to get in touch with us. But before we get into that, we are going to have a new segment to the podcast. Let me tell you, Meghan has been super into telling jokes lately. It's to the point where she and her grandpa have a text chain going back and forth where they tell each other jokes. And I thought that this is the kind of thing that is just so many times she's telling these jokes that just light up her face. And I know there are some times where we could all use a little chuckle. So once a week, I'm going to have Meghan on the podcast to tell a joke. I haven't come up with a name for this, so I don't know if it necessarily needs one. But again, if anybody comes up with anything, shoot it my way and let me know. And we'll certainly give you credit if that is something we choose to go with. So without any further ado, here is the debut of Meghan and her joke-telling segment. We'll have one joke a week just to add a little more fun to this podcast, which is all about fun. And here we go.
How do bees get to school?
I don't know. How do bees get to school?
They take the school bus.
All right, so if you enjoyed this joke or you have one of your own that you would like to share with Meghan, you can send those directly to me. I'll again give you all of the information on how to contact us at the end of the episode, so stay tuned to that. And now that that is in the books, we will get on to our main discussion, which of course is the questions out of the Mazza's magical Mickey ears.
Donald, wake up! It's showtime! Don't forget the orchestra!
Ah, there you are. And just in time.
Mom says there's even more magical stuff now.
For those of you standing, please hold on to the handrails throughout our journey and stay clear of the doors.
Hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
And here we go!
Well, Eileen is back on the podcast once again, and this time we're doing something that we haven't done in a little while, and that's dip into the Magic Mickey ears to talk about some Disney, especially because this episode, when it comes out on Friday, it will be 30 days until our trip to Walt Disney World. So pretty much all of these questions are specific to Walt Disney World as well. I kind of tried to theme it a little bit, with our trip coming up, kind of to get us geared up for the trip.
I'm geared up already. I mean, that's not true, but I'm ready for vacation already.
It's getting to the point where it's, there's that brief time of panic where you're just like, oh my God, it's closer than I thought it was. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we are right now.
We'll be fine. We know what we're doing.
All right. And so we'll get started. Do you want to draw the first one?
Sure. Why not?
We're using the 50th anniversary Mickey ears this time.
What is your New Year's resolution if you are head of the parks?
So if you are in charge of the Disney parks, what is your New Year's resolution for the parks? I would say that my resolution would be to figure out a way to streamline all of these different lightning lane things. I think that people are still pretty confused, and if there was a way to simplify it all, I think that that would go a long way. I think that one thing that maybe you could do is almost kind of make it more like you do with the park hopper or something like that. When you're buying your tickets, it's an add-on or something like that. So it's not this other thing that you have to do later and get it, and then it just seems like it's one more extra step right now where you could kind of just streamline it a little bit with the park ticket uh, operation.
I don't know. That's a hard one because one of mine would be, I don't want to say more consistent wait times, but generally like moving them through faster. I feel like they're inconsistent. Like sometimes you'll see like, I don't know. Move it along so I don't have to wait for 2 hours to do a ride.
Well, I think that you're seeing that they're trying to do that a little bit with they've been testing out some single rider lines.
Yeah.
That I think they're trying to smooth some of that out. But you're right that sometimes it seems like there can be rides that just it doesn't make sense why you're waiting that long sometimes and not others. So I don't know if it's an operational issue or if it's everybody sees that as 15 minutes for a ride and rushes over and then it creates a backup or what. But it seems like that might be something that just could be looked at operationally.
Yeah, I was going to say it could be an operation like ride breakdown. I'm not really entirely sure, but like we've gotten in line at the exact, at very similar spots and moved along at different rates before.
And when I'm talking operationally, I'm not talking about the mechanics of the ride. I'm talking about operations of the park. Like, how the way that people are moving people through the line are the cast members doing it the same way, or is it the luck of the draw with the cast member and how many people they're letting through who have a lightning lane versus the standby line and stuff like that? So
I don't know. We don't know how it works. So I'm sure someone does.
So I guess the resolution could be to examine that and see if there are ways to make it better.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Here's my next one. What is your favorite mode of Disney transportation?
I think it's become the Skyliner. We typically don't stay at a Skyliner hotel, but it is a fun way and a fast way to travel. And we've waited in, a decent Skyliner line before. I forget where we are. Maybe to Topolino's were we going? I don't know. But there was a pretty long line when we were at Pop. And it moved along pretty quickly. And it's fun to kind of like go over and look down below and see everything.
I like the boats. And I think maybe some of that is a product of us being DVC and our home resort being Wilderness Lodge. So we spend a lot of time there. We use the boats a lot. But there's just something unique about, pulling up in a boat to Magic Kingdom, especially. We've taken boats elsewhere, but I think especially that boat to the Magic Kingdom, there's just something special about it.
Yeah, I do like the boat too. That was going to be my number. It was between Skyliner and boat, and I think probably Skyliner is more unique right now, so I picked that. Plus, you feel like you're going to crash every time you go into the station.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's like a ride.
All right, and Eileen will pick the next one.
All-Star or Pop Century?
This is an easy one for me. It's All-Star. I think that All-Star is a lot of fun. I think that it's got a lot of character, and obviously having the 3 different, movies, sports, and music, it just has a whole lot more to offer, I think. We stayed at Pop Century and it was only for a night, but nothing about it really kind of jumped out to me as special. Whereas, there's a part of all-star movies where, you're in Andy's room, and there's a spot where you can, hang out with Herbie the Love Bug, and so it feels more interactive, which is great, especially when you've got young kids. And I don't know, I just felt like Pop was just like Pop feels much more quote unquote value um, than the All Stars do. Now, that's not to say that we didn't enjoy our stay at Pop. I just feel like Pop could probably use a little bit of a refresh.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say All Star as well, and I'm not sure if I went in with way too high expectations of Pop because everyone says it's amazing. I mean, the Skyliner is a perk of Pop, so
Sure.
that's a great thing. And with like All Star, it's far from the parks, but it's not like unmanageable far. Like when we stayed there last time, I don't think we were ever on a bus more than 15 minutes.
Right.
I mean, yeah. So I'm not like, I agree, All Star. I think there's a lot of fun things to see, and it's very accessible. Like whichever resort you're at, they're all walkable.
Right.
We walked some of it at least with Meghan, even so, it's very walkable to go explore all three of them. Pop is cool because you also can go explore Art of Animation, which has some fun things to go see.
And that might be a little bit of why I'm a little down on Pop Century, is because
Art was really cool.
When you compare it to Art, and they're both that value level, right?
Yeah, but
I mean, Art's more expensive and
suites,
is more
right?
suites. So it's more designed for like larger families and stuff like that. But when you contrast the two,
Art
I think
was a lot more engaging
and just felt fresher, So I think that there's a little bit of that too, and maybe that's a little unfair. But especially with the contrast of Art, I think that.
Well, I was saying like, the accessibility piece of you can walk between the two resorts and check those out too, much like we could walk between the three All Stars.
Sure.
So yeah, I think All Star takes the win for me there too. And again, I don't know if we're only at Pop for a day. We didn't get to, it was raining for a good chunk of it. So we did walk around and explore it a little bit, but it was raining for a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
So, we didn't take our time as much as we might have on a nice day. But yeah, I think I went in with my expectations a little too high on Pop. And so it didn't meet my high expectations.
Yeah, and you're right. Maybe we did miss something because so many people have told us that they love Pop Century. And maybe we just didn't have enough time or as much of an opportunity because of the weather and everything to experience it the way that some other people have.
But we have experienced All Star and been very happy with it.
But I mean, and all of these value resorts are all, not your typical quote unquote value, so yeah. It's always a little bit of a step above, but especially when, when you're looking at it on a Disney scale, it's a little bit different. So, all right. Oh, I had two stuck together there. All right. My next one. What's one ride, show, or attraction you can't believe still exists at Disney World? Oh, I've got one.
What's
so
yours?
if you want to think while mine is Mission Space.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I like Mission Space, but the number of people that I have heard, say, this ride is terrible, I can't go on it, it makes me sick, I was down and out for the rest of the day. It really surprises me that has remained. It just seems like with some of the more innocuous things that have come and gone, something that has created such a visceral reaction from some people who go to Disney. Um, it's really surprising to me that that has managed to survive, and that they've built off of it with like Space
That's what I
220
was going to
with
say
the,
is now you're almost stuck with it because they've built that whole area up to be very much like space-like and like futuristic. I mean, I only ride green. I'm afraid of orange. I would be one of those people who couldn't handle orange.
Yeah, I've only done orange once, and I will say it's intense. So I understand why some people like can't ride it. But
And wait times are generally not crazy, so it's not like you have people like knocking down
right,
the doors to go do it.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, the one I was going to say, and I guess I can still say it because it's still there, is Dinosaur. And it's not going to be there much longer, but that was one that, we've talked about before is like, being outdated and like you've ridden it once, you've done everything. You can kind of recite what it is. It's not the same level of excitement as some of the other rides that you do. So it's technically still there. So I think that counts.
sure, that'll count. I think it's your turn now.
Can't tell if there's more than one there. Free lightning lane or free dining? Free dining. Yeah.
Really? You take the free dining over the free lightning lane? I guess the value alone is...
Yeah. Think about what we would spend on one meal at Disney. Now, if it's going to be like free lightning lane your whole trip or one meal free, that's a different story. But free dining, 100%. I'll pay the tip and I'll pay the alcohol for the free dining.
Okay. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I can certainly see the benefit to free lightning lane, especially because if you're able to, ride as many things as you can without worrying about the price and everything like that, it does open up your trip to other things, and your time is valuable too. Very.
Absolutely.
You have precious few hours at Walt Disney World, so if you can spend less of them in lines, that in and of itself has value. So I don't think it's quite the same slam dunk as you. I'd probably still lean the same way as you, but I can see why somebody might be like, oh, especially for us, we're not necessarily like foodies. Like we don't go to Disney
but if
necessarily to eat the food, so
no, but think about it. Even like we typically will do the breakfast and lunch that we bring.
Yeah.
We'll do the grocery order there, so get rid of the grocery order. Aside from like a handful, we'd get some water bottles and some easy snacks, so when the small child gets cranky, you can pull something out of the bag. But no, think of like, so that bill would be gone, and all of a sudden we've got lunch and dinner free. Like, yeah,
fair enough.
I, from the money sense alone, as the balancer of the budget, free dining. And then think about it, because we will get gift cards. People will give us gift cards as Christmas gifts, and we'll get some gift cards to kind of like when there's discounts places. Think about what we could then use the gift cards on. Is we'd have a lot more other. Of course, then I'd probably have like 2,000 Spirit jerseys and no room to keep them.
And a different set of ears for every day. So then we'd need a bigger house to fit them all on our wall. Some of you have seen some of the other podcasts, like the videos. Behind me, you'll see the Mickey and Minnie ear wall. And it's slowly filling up. I don't think do we have your latest ones up there yet?
The Halloween ones.
Okay, the Halloween. Yep, they are.
Yeah,
up there. So,
all ears are hanging at this point in time.
Yeah, I'm gonna need more shelving for my ears.
We have another shelf.
We do. I feel like we need two because that one's a different size. So it's one of the smaller sized ones. So
I don't know. We could.
Yeah, well, that's a different topic for a different day. Either way, that's that's one of the great souvenirs that you can get on the trip is the ears. So, guess this is mine, right?
I think so.
All right. What character or characters do you think are underrepresented at Walt Disney World? So, what character or characters would you want to see more of at Walt Disney World?
I don't know.
So, I don't. They're not major characters, but I've just had this idea, and I'm not sure if this is necessarily completely answering the question, but I could see like a Huey, Dewey, and Louie like themed ride being like super fun. And you don't really see them anywhere in the parks.
Not really, no.
You know, I think that
Are they in a parade?
I think that we stayed in one room where when you pulled down the Murphy bed, like they were on there, and I can't remember what.
It was either Pop or All Star, because that's
Yeah. But outside of that, I don't think I've ever seen them out at the park.
yeah. Well, because I was gonna go with like some of the sidekicks, like there's. I mean, Jeannie's the one that pops into my head, like, but so there's some like very popular sidekicks that
Mhm.
would be fun to meet, but I think some of that is like when they are there, it's extra special. So I don't know. Yeah.
There's nobody that you've kind of said, I'm really surprised that they don't have a ride, or this person doesn't have a ride.
I thought it had to be characters to meet.
No, it's just characters that are underrepresented in the parks, which could be with a ride, being there, whatever. Just like their presence in the parks could be more, and it's not.
I was not prepared to answer this question because a lot of, I think, I think I'll still go with like the sidekicks. It would be fun to see something like that. Because I was going to say, there's also, I think they could do more with like a Disney Junior area too. We're kind of getting out of that, but I mean, I shared my vision. I forget if it was on a podcast or just with you, that like that area where they have like the dance, in Hollywood Studios, where there's the dance party, they could get rid of that and like turn that whole section into like a Disney Junior area.
Yeah.
And
like take that
like,
animation courtyard and make it
very play places for kids, like indoor type, like climbing type stuff where the littles could go. So I could see that also being good. They have a couple of like the Disney Junior meet and greets over there, but even the characters that you meet now, those are like, I don't want to say outdated characters, but they've come out with more shows since then. And so yeah, I think we're kind of getting out of that Disney Junior age, but I think that would be a fun thing.
The one that I was waiting for and kind of like trying to lead you there, but is Rapunzel. She's got bathrooms.
Yeah, but they're awesome.
You can keep the awesome bathrooms and give her an awesome ride. What is it? Is it Disneyland Tokyo that has like the super cool Rapunzel? Why can't we get that at Walt Disney World?
Well, no, I mean, and Rapunzel was actually one I was going to say, but then I don't know, somehow her bathrooms being so special, like I don't know.
You can keep the special bathrooms and give her a little more, it doesn't have to stop at the bathrooms, but
No, yeah, I mean, that would be fun. Ooh, this is hard. Favorite quick service food or restaurant?
See, I thought this one would be easy because we just recently talked about it. Okay, so the Caesar salad at the pool, the chicken Caesar salad at the pool at least Animal Kingdom Kidani. I'd imagine that they have it at Jumbo as well. But it seems silly because a chicken Caesar salad of all things, to the chicken was so great. It was so well seasoned. I we talk about it regularly. Every time that
time that we're with Mary Kate,
Right.
we talk about
yeah,
it.
that was the trip that we went with your sister and our niece. And I mean, that was how long ago? 2019?
It was well, so Meghan was 1.
Yeah, so
it
2019.
Was, yeah.
And we're still talking about that salad to this day. So to me, that tells you that. And we went back to get it multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, we ended up with a bunch of half-eaten salads in our...
They were not ours, Mary Kate.
But, so that, I think, speaks to how good that was.
Yeah, I mean, that it was very good. I was gonna say, where do we always get the spicy chicken sandwich from at Magic Kingdom?
Is that Cosmic Rays?
I was gonna say Cosmic Rays, but now
I think that's at Cosmic Rays. Yeah,
we always get it
because it's close enough. Because our last trip, the cruise, when we got there, it was right around lunchtime. And
I went to get the lunch while you guys sat
for the
got
parade.
A seat.
So it had to be somewhere that was close enough to the hub that you were able to.
Yeah, I just always. Yeah, so it's Cosmic Rays. Yeah, and all we've ever had was this spicy chicken sandwich.
Yeah,
but it's good. It has just a tiny coleslaw, and it's got pickles and a brioche bun. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but it also doesn't make me feel awful after eating it.
We're both pretty picky about fried food because of the way that it'll make us feel afterwards. And this is one that we'll go back to.
Yeah.
There was, and I don't remember where it was. And it may have been way back our 5th anniversary. I got a power salad.
I knew you were going to talk about the power salad.
And I've looked for it again. I don't know if they've stopped having it on the menu. I don't remember where it was, but I've looked basically at every quick service
I wouldn't be surprised if that was even our honeymoon, because it was at Epcot, and I don't remember where it was at. It doesn't exist anymore, wherever it was. It was this spot. I don't know. It was at Epcot, and we had it more than once.
Yeah.
So I think it had to have been our honeymoon, because pretty much every other trip that we've been on, it's been a 1 park a day thing. But yeah, that power salad, I don't even remember. I had seeds and berries and stuff like that. It was real good.
Alrighty.
Quick service. I'm also going to throw in Woody's Lunchbox, because we do go there a lot.
Yes. Get the grilled cheese, which, by the way, if anybody's looking for it, I have a recipe to make it at home.
We should make that again soon.
We should. Yeah, that would be a good one. And I unfortunately don't have a recipe to make the adult lemonade, but that is also it's great to get the grilled cheese and a nice refreshing adult lemonade. It just it hits the spot.
And disclosure, we don't do a ton with the quick service restaurants. So I'm sure there are those of you out there who are listening to us and saying, you missed this one, 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 because I know there's ones better than what we've mentioned, but we will typically bring in our own lunches and just get 1 or 2 quick service meals a trip.
I'll throw an honorable mention in there for the smokehouse at Epcot.
That was really good.
Yeah.
We had that for dinner one time, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's funny because it's quick service, but because I'm getting ribs, I kind of consider it a step
upper
above.
tier. Yeah.
All right. So my next.
You know where I really liked once, and again, we haven't eaten there forever. It was the Yak and Yeti quick service.
Oh yeah.
That was really good.
Try that again.
I think because we used to do it, but we've stopped getting dining plan, because we will do the we bring in our own food, and that ends up saving us money and not having to worry about finding something Meghan will eat. But yeah, I'm thinking about it. There were a lot of good ones that we would go to. But anyway, go ahead.
All right. Biggest Disney World pet peeve.
People who aren't paying attention. That's it. When you're walking and you're just not paying attention, whether you're walking or pushing a stroller or riding a scooter. There are people who are just like not paying any attention to where they are. And I can admittedly say there are times where I'm raising my hand. I don't know why. No one can see what I'm doing. But there are times where you yell at me, not all the time, but like, because I'll just stop in the middle to like look and do something. But there are people who are like stopped 6 across and just like stopped blocking an area. And it's like, guys, step off to the side. Like, we don't want to push through you. And, you know, there are people who are like using scooters and strollers and just kind of like going through, not necessarily going around people, just kind of like just going and expecting others to. So just kind of the lack of awareness of other people.
So I'm kind of on the same thing as you. My biggest thing is one of the things that you say that I yell at you about, and it's people who just stop dead. And again, it's more when they're unaware of those who are around. Like, there are plenty of times when you're going to need to or want to stop. You know, one of the great things about Disney World is everything around you, is the atmosphere as much as everything else, and all of the little details, all the things that you want to see. Anytime that I think that I'm going to be stopping, my head's on the swivel. I'm looking around to make sure that I'm not going to get crashed into. I'm not going to be, you know, stepping on anybody or getting stepped on. And the number of people who just like, with total disregard, just stop. Just drives me absolutely bonkers. It doesn't take more than a second to do a quick look around to make sure that you are not just going to be totally disrupting someone by stopping. If you look around, there's a space and you stop and then somebody has to walk around you, that's different than like just abruptly stopping with somebody right behind you. And that is what happens all the time. And especially when it's hot and people are sweaty and everything like that, that's the last thing I want to be doing is making contact with sweaty strangers. And truthfully, that's probably the last thing they want, is to be in contact with sweaty me.
No one wants that.
Ouch.
I love you.
All right, we've got a few more left here.
Oh, that one apparently didn't want to be done. Favorite pixie dust experience? We haven't had a lot.
Hi.
Being in Mickey's parade?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was pixie dust. Yeah, no, that's pixie dust.
How else do you end up on Mickey's float?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, you're right, because I think pixie dust lately has kind of been like, what do you get out of something? And I mean, we got to be on Mickey's float. So, yeah, on our honeymoon when we were on Mickey's float in the Animal Kingdom parade.
Which no longer exists, RIP, the Gem and Jungle parade.
That's okay. We were still in it.
Yeah, it was actually very cool. It was, we were just walking through Animal Kingdom and we had our bride and groom ears on. This was for our honeymoon, and a cast member stopped us and asked if we wanted to be in a parade. And at first we thought that they were joking. Like, we didn't think that there was any way that they were serious about that. And they were like, no, like,
we need people to be on
Mickey. Do you want to be in the parade? And Eileen gave me this look like,
please?
Oh man, like it was like the little girl in Despicable Me when she's looking up and like the big eyes and everything. Like, it was just like, there is absolutely no way I can say no to this. And this was before I became like a full-fledged like Disney adult. Like, now it would be the kind of thing like, oh my god, yes. At the time I was just like, yeah, okay, it would be fun, and Eileen would kill me if I didn't say yes. And so we ended up getting, they said, okay, show up here at this time. And we did. And they took us backstage. And, there was the whole talk about how you don't take pictures backstage. We got to take one picture.
Yep.
And then we got on the floats and we were on Mickey's vehicle going through. It was just such a cool experience.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. And I also remember, like, you know, we were very, like, you didn't need your phones for, like, anything on that trip. And, like, you know, it was our honeymoon and we are like, we're going to, like, you know, had them for emergencies and stuff, but we weren't, like, texting people. We weren't, I don't even think we had internet on the phones then.
Yeah.
We might have, but we weren't using phones, but like we got back to the room that night and we like texted everyone we knew and we're like, we're on Mickey's float.
Some people believed us, others did not. But yeah, so we have a picture of us on the float in our on our wall.
Safari vest.
Yes, they put us in safari vest, and it's on the wall in our bedroom. So we do have evidence that it did happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got 3 more. Do we want to plow through these 3, or?
I think we can do 3 more.
Okay.
If you determine it's too long, we can cut them.
Comet's over here snoring in the corner, as usual. He's riveted by this. All right, something new you are looking forward to trying or experiencing on this trip?
Oh, on this trip. I was about to say the Monsters Inc. roller coaster, but that will not be there. I'll also be terrified. I might be too old to. I won't be too old to do it. This trip. What are we doing on this trip?
Doesn't necessarily have to be something planned if there's something that you want to do.
So this doesn't count for me as new per se, but we are planning on taking Meghan on a couple of new rides, and I'm excited for that. We're hoping to take her on Tiana's, which she's never been on, and she had never been on Splash either. So I think I'm excited to hopefully do that with her. And we're planning to take her on Everest as well. And that will definitely be the biggest coaster that she has been on. And, you know, she's been on Slink. She's been on Seven Dwarfs. She's been on Thunder Mountain, I think. Well, on Goofy's coaster. Mm-hmm. So this one's definitely bigger, but I think she'll be okay.
Yeah, that was going to be mine, but I think we've got some new dining experiences that we're doing this time. So I'm looking forward to trying out some of those. And thank you very much to Emily and the We Do Travel Right team for taking care of our dining reservations for us. We've got everything that we're looking for. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think Chef Mickey's is one of them that we're...
Yeah, we haven't done that one yet, and we have some time to do it this trip, so figure do it, especially, you know, while Meghan is still all about Mickey. Might as well do it.
And we've got some old favorites that we're doing again too. Like we're going to do Tusker House, which is one that we're doing
brunch for that, right?
Yes, yep. Which we did before, and that was the brunch that was that
might have been
Christmas trip. Yeah, because we could meet the characters, but we were still distanced from them. So it'll be good to get the full experience of that. So that's not necessarily new, but it'll be different. We have a day where we're not going to a park, and if we can work it out, I would not mind seeing if we can take a look around the new Polynesian Tower.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can take the boat and then the monorail. And
right. Well, I mean, especially, I think that Chef Mickey's brunch is the day that...
is our off day.
So we could...
Oh, so we'll be on the monorail
anyway. We'll be on the monorail. So that's something that, possibly I might want to take a look at, and I know that they're limiting somewhat what some people can do, but seeing as we are DVC members, they may see an opportunity to,
try and sell us.
Right. So we may have a little easier time getting to see it than more of just the general park goers would.
And I guess we'll find out. I mean, if nothing else, we can walk around the Poly, and that's fun too.
Yep. All right. There's 2 left.
All right. One thing you wish Disney would bring back.
Well, the obvious one is like free
fast passes. That's all I like. I mean, there's plenty of other things. that I'm sure I would like back. But yeah, I mean, I always think free fast passes as one thing that I wish we could have again. Honestly, I mean, I guess they've sort of, the way that they've done it, they have made it so, we kind of pay for fast passes, but it works a little bit different.
The functionality of it is much more like the old fast pass system, not the old paper fast pass system, but the fast pass system that we were using when we first started going together.
I think it was paper when we had our
At the honeymoon.
It might have been. I don't remember. No, it was paper when I went on my first trip. Yeah. I also would like them to bring back Voyage of the Little Mermaid.
I think that's coming. I mean, we've seen some actual like concept art for it at least. So they're talking about some kind of the premise of, it's going to be the same show, it seems like, but some different puppeteering and stuff like that. There had to have been some kind of environmental issue with that building for it to stay.
That's my only thought. Stay empty for so long.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm going to say is more Mickey ears for guys.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's really been dwindling. It's been really hard for me to find. Unless you go to Disney Springs and you find some in like a specialty shop. Like I was able to find some when we went when it was the 100th anniversary. I ended up getting the 100th anniversary ears because, well, I should get those because but I didn't love them. I was looking for ears that I'd love, and in the normal places there wasn't a lot. I ended up finding the Han Solo ears in the cantina. Super cool ears, by the way. But in like a Star Wars specialty shop at Disney Springs. So it's just like,
and we don't have the time to necessarily search through all the shops to do that.
Make it more accessible, and like, I'm talking about like the hard beanie kind of style ones, the classic kind of shape and everything like that. I've seen a lot more like caps, and stuff like that, and that's fine. But look, I'm at Disney, I'm going to lean into it. And if I'm leaning into it, like this is one of those kind of traditional things that I enjoyed about it was getting those Disney.
Your face
those
doesn't
Mickey
mind
ears.
the hats, though.
No, that's true. Yeah.
But even then if they're going to go to the hats, they need to make more variety because you have so many of those at this point in time.
Well, and a lot of those hats are specialty too. I mean, I'm looking up at the thing. I mean, I do have the Pluto hat, but a couple of my other hats it's a Christmas hat, like a gingerbread Mickey hat, and the pumpkin.
I thought you had a goofy one for some reason. Maybe you thought about getting a goofy.
I thought about getting a goofy one, and I think I ended up finding something else. But most of my ears are ears. I've got these ones are the 50th anniversary. I've got the 100th anniversary of Disney, and I've got some other various like actual ears. And I'd love to see more of that. Basically, ears without bows,
But you also want them as the hat, not the headband. Or as the cap.
Well, I feel like the headband, too, is more structured. Like, most of the time, women's heads are smaller than...
But you said ears without bows, and those are ears.
But the vast majority of ears with bows have the headbands, and most of the headband ears have bows. So, it's let's start. There are a lot of guys who enjoy going to Disney. I know, and spoiler alert: there's going to be a podcast coming up where I'm going to be having some Disney dudes, and we're going to be talking about Disney, and it's going to be just the guys having a conversation about what we love about Disney, and it's going to be great. But you see so often at the parks, it's the people who are just like, I'm just here to pay and blah, blah, blah. There are a lot of guys who are at Disney who enjoy being in Disney and want to lean into it. So, don't forget about them either. So, all right, here's the last one.
I think it's your read, actually.
Okay. kind of lost track.
Me too.
Okay. What resort do you want to stay in but never have?
Polynesian. I've always wanted to stay in the Polynesian, like since before I even like started going to Disney. So for me, it's the Polynesian.
I would say the Polynesian as well, especially even more when we took that adult only trip where we kind of resort hopped and explored some of the resorts. That was one that I was just like, oh man, I gotta stay here. You know, it has this great vibe to it. It has a great smell to it. Even
the location is great. You know, that I think is my number one that we haven't stayed in.
Yeah, and I honestly can say of the Magic Kingdom ones, that's the only one that I have a burning desire to stay in.
Yeah. I mean, I'd stay in Contemporary if the opportunity came up. I obviously stay in Grand Floridian if the opportunity came up, but it's not like I don't feel like I have to stay there. Whereas I really want to stay at the Polynesian at some point.
All right. Well, we are out of questions in the Magic Mickey ears. So that is just about going to do it. Are we excited for our trip now?
I mean, I've been excited. I just am not prepared yet. So, I have a few things at school to get through first, and then we'll be good to go.
Well, if anybody else is excited for a Disney trip after listening to this episode, what do you think they should do?
They should probably talk to We Do Travel Right.
Absolutely, because We Do Travel Right would be able to set them up with basically, well, they can't guarantee anything, but they would be able to set them up with the best experience that they could possibly get. And we've
learned that over the last few years since we've started taking advantage and working with them, and they've done some really great things for us.
Absolutely. I mean, between the one-on-one service that you get, the dining team to help you out with all that kind of stuff. I mean, they helped us get the tickets for the Halloween party when we had our adults only trip. There are a lot of ways that they can help you with your trip, and they're flexible too, because we're DVC members, so that changes things a little bit in terms of like how we schedule things and how we book our trips and stuff like that. And they work with us on stuff like that. So if you are interested in a trip, the best thing about using We Do Travel Right is
it's free.
Absolutely. She's shaking her head at me because I kind of force her into these. But whether it's Disney or Universal or an all-inclusive or a cruise line, these companies build the cost of an agent into their pricing. So you're paying for the use of the agent, whether you use it or not. So it only makes sense to use the agent. So if you are interested in finding out if We Do Travel Right can get you started on your next magical vacation, go to wedotravelright.com/Mazza. That's wedotravelright.com/MAZA. And don't forget to tell them that Chris and Eileen sent you.
Well, I can't do any more damage around this popsicle stand.
So long, partner.
See you real soon.
Well, thanks everyone for listening to this episode of the Mazza's Musings podcast. We're very excited to be so close to our next Disney trip, and as always, we love to share our thoughts and insights on Disney, and especially Walt Disney World, but we do touch a little bit on everything. Of course, we don't pretend to be experts. That's why I have, We Do Travel Right on, and Emily, and members of her team, because they're the experts on Disney. We're just fans and enthusiasts. We are anything but experts. So we'd also love to hear if you have anything to say or any insights that you might have. So you can feel free to reach out and connect with us on those. You can find us all over social media. We're on Facebook. You can just search for the Mazza's Musings podcast. We're on Instagram, Threads, and X, all at Mazza's Musings Pod. We're on TikTok for now at Mazza's Musings Podcast, and we're also on Blue Sky. You can also find ways to reach us, as well as information on me and the podcast, past episodes, and more at mazzasmusings.wordpress.com. We've got some really fun stuff coming up. I'm actually going to be a guest soon on the Hyperion Adventures podcast with Tom and Michelle, who are all about spreading the Disney positivity. It's one of my favorite podcasts, and so I'm really looking forward to talking with them. I also have some cool episodes coming up, including, as I mentioned during this episode, the Disney Dudes episode that's starting to come together now. So I'll be talking with other like-minded men who enjoy Disney, and that is one that has been on my mind for a while and is finally coming together, so I'm excited about it. I also am going to have another episode coming up with a friend who spent the past year or so seeing Metallica tour around the US and Europe, so I'm excited to see what some of his stories will be. Be on the lookout for all of this and more that's still in the works. And the best way to stay informed on all of it is to sign up for our newsletter. You can find the subscribe button on the website, and you'll get all the info on upcoming episodes, shout outs to other podcasts, contests and sweepstakes, and other interesting stuff. As always, if you'd like to support the podcast, leave a rating or a review, join the conversation with us on social media, or just tell your friends. And if you'd like to take support a little bit further, you can buy us a blue milk by logging on to the website and clicking the link. It's just a small, obligation-free way to help with some of the small costs that are associated with the podcast. Once again, thank you for all of the support you've given, whether it's by listening, sharing, buying blue milk. It's all valuable and it's all special to me, and I really appreciate it. And as always, I hope you all have a great weekend and a great week.